Wow, we are almost at the end of May. I think this is our last show for May already. I am like floored. You see how fast this year's gone. I always say that when we get to Christmas, just leave your tree up. You're going to blink and we're going to be through the year. But a lot has changed and a lot has shifted. And we have a really special show for you guys. If you want to really understand more that's going on all the time, I want to encourage you to go and check out our Telegram group. You can find it on my Instagram channel, on my Facebook channel, on our website. It'll be up there on the free membership. And why is that important? You know, as things come to me, I know this weekend I was blessed. I was out in the country and I had received a message from somebody that was overseas that was going through all these interesting things we've been enduring with lockdowns and passports and how they're all being wiped out. And we've been saying for quite a long time, you got to hold on. There's so much truth coming out. And sometimes when we're waiting, and that's why I like Telegram, we really get you updated on a regular basis. And sometimes when we're waiting for these shifts to happen, we forget that the shift has to come from within all of us as a collective for what we're dealing with in the world right now and on an individual basis, right? You got to go within. And once it starts to change and that frequency changes within you, then you start to see it in your life. So a lot of times that's what I call the gap. That's where you're like a little kid having a temper tantrum going, why is it showing now? Why isn't it my way now? I want it now. And we've all been there. And if anyone tells you they've never been there, they're feeding you a load of poo, because literally that is the hardest gap to be in. And this is why I love our communities and maybe communities you're in. But what I find so special about it is that's where we're able to get in the gap together and say, okay, look, this is what's coming. This is what's happening. I made a post on my Instagram today, and I did a lot more in depth for our academies and really working on connecting. When you're with spirit, spirit's where you trust and you know and you believe, but how many times you're not, you're stuck in your body, you're not connecting to spirit. And that's where people like myself and other people that, you know, have gone through this work, we can hold space with you. We can help to keep evolving ourselves and help holding that space with you. So some people call it interceding, some people call it bridging, some people call it holding space. We're all growing, we're all changing. Everyone's equal, always equal. We, even with our guides, our angels, the Christ consciousness, you're all equal, but we're just helping each other because we can hold space. So when you go through something on your own, it can be challenging, especially in the last year. But the good thing is there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. And we're seeing a lot of light, a lot of truth. And I'm sure a lot of you had a lot of truth come out in your life where you go, oh my God, I know I did that. I'm like, I do that. I got to stop. And those are probably the crappiest moments ever. Like you'll be on the floor crying and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just want to check out what's happened here. But those are huge, huge breakthroughs. And this is why I'm so thrilled today to have three of our amazing Evolutionary Mastermind Academy people with us, because we all know what it's like to go, you know, in our ups and our downs. And we all know what it's like. Well, if you've tried it alone, I did alone, and I vowed I would never want to have to do that alone again or have any other person go through that alone. So I want to welcome all of you for coming today, and some of you coming back. And I know sometimes it's like, oh, it's a little nerve wracking. We just play. We're going to have some fun. And just, you know, it's about just being who we are. And I think that this is the most wonderful thing about what's happening right now in the world, is areas where maybe we didn't feel like we could be who we are, or we didn't feel like we could express who we are. Those are crumbling. They're coming to an end. So to show up exactly how you're supposed to be here on the earth, I think is so amazing. So welcome. I want to throw it out. Maybe I'll go around. We'll start with you, Monica, and what you think about this and whatever comes to space. We're going to have a chat today, but what have you noticed, like with all the craziness in the world that's gone on since last January? So we should, guys, cross your fingers. I got chills right now. I think by July at the latest, we should be able to say, yeah, okay, a lot of this nonsense will go. I'm not saying they're going to keep trying, but a lot of it's going to go. Something else will come in until this keeps dissolving. But what would you say was, like, when you look at the last year, one of the biggest sort of breakthroughs, or you look how you handled it? Like, what do you want to share that happened in your life in this last year and a half, I guess?
It's funny, there's a story that I tell often, is the 180-degree difference from 1 year ago, because it started with, when it all blew up, so much fear. I was on the other side of the world. I was in Africa at the time, and I have never been so scared in my life to fly on 7 different flights, including cross-continental, in the middle of the March. And the level of fear was so high. And through the experience with this academy, the change from knowing and trusting that it's actually okay, and that the fear is not something to plug into. We can plug into something completely different, which is the feeling that it's actually okay and that it's going to be okay. And I'm not saying it very well, but it was 180-degree turn very quickly.
You're saying it amazing. And what was it? Okay. And I remember when you were over there, I remember getting that email going, oh my God. But when you were there and you say plug into the fear, what was the moment where you realized you were digesting all this fear? Because I don't think people realize that it kind of comes gradual and then bang, it hits us. And we realize we just drank the dark energies Kool-Aid.
So it was actually through watching one of your videos, and it was a teaching that you shared, and it made so much sense, because we're not just watching videos, the energy is being shifted as we're watching. So that's why it really landed and it really sunk in, and I took it and I ran with it, and then there was nothing to be afraid of anymore, which was really great, because they kept maneuvering and kept, you know, changing the story so that there was actually more to be afraid of as time went on. And I just knew to go to plug into the opposite of that. And it was through the teachings, and also through being in the community with, I don't want to say like-minded, but with like-hearted people.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that saying.
So easier. Made it so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, because it's sort of, when, like you said, you're stranded in, well, it's like, you know, you're told.
I felt stranded, 100%.
Right? Yeah, you're stranded here where you're like in a foreign country, let's face it, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to be having fun, and now there's like fear, and at that point too, not knowing the exact level of what's coming out, what's true, what's false, what's true, what's false. And I think I said that today. I was saying back in March, I'm like, there's no energy behind this thing. Like, this is a bunch of, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm just saying the energy that they were putting out didn't match, right? So I love that you said heart-centered people.
Yes,
I love that.
Lighthearted.
Yeah, lighthearted. Yeah, they're all like, I don't know how to describe it to people. I guess you got to experience it for yourself, right? To know.
I highly recommend it.
You're funny. Anne-Marie, what would you say when you look at when sort of this craziness started, what are some of the biggest things that you've noticed that you've been able to anchor in on to get you through this last year and a bit?
Well, wow. Firstly, I would have to say that if I hadn't connected with this community, I don't think I would have been able to go through the last year and a half, seriously, the way as healthfully and as connected as I have been able to. And I just felt that, you know, your teachings and your guidance has helped me at least anchor in to the things that have been able to get me out of what I call like really bad situations. And recently I actually experienced that because I had family members in hospital with, you know, the virus and so forth. And of course, I don't know, I went through it I'm surprised at myself because I went through it very easily, in neutrality as well, certain times. And that's all because of your teachings, your being connected, like Monica said, to a group of people that are just so giving and so sharing, and who everybody relates to, at least on some level, you know, whether it's not the same problem, but somehow we get supported so well. And I got supported through this. I'm still going through it a little bit, but I'm telling you, I think I don't know where I would have been, Tracy. I'll tell you honestly. And I'm so thankful and grateful to have been guided to you, because I was guided to you. So in saying all of that, it's just on every level, like financially, you know, relationships, my health. Oh my goodness, my health, even that. So a lot has changed for me.
I always say when I watched your growth, what I love so much is you're so much more, and I'd love you to show like empowered, like you're making just, I get chills, like you're making decisions and choices. And this is what I love about what I believe. We're all equal. And like I said earlier, I'm just here to help, right? So we can raise each other up and to say, okay, I can hold the knowing that spirit has, that maybe just because I went through it so much longer ago. I think that's why God put me through all that hell all those years ago, so I could hold space and help people hold space, and we can do it together as we're shifting. But when you say more empowered, because you seem to be making decisions and speaking your truth, what feels right for you, rather than being a people pleaser.
100%. I do feel more empowered. It's been, and I've discussed this with you. I had been on a journey for so many years, but the change in the last year and a half, being a part of this incredible group, has it's catapulted me in a way that I knew it was there. I just didn't tune into it. And I've been able to find that power. And in many, many ways, I've been able to speak my truth more with characters in my life, family members, some friends, where I can actually stand up for myself and say, well, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. And why am I doing that? Why am I giving of myself and so much, and I'm, you know, not liking what I'm doing? I can have a choice. So I have been able to do more of that decision making, and it's worked out quite well for me. I feel better about myself. And it's affected me in all different aspects.
You know
So
what
yes,
I love? I
yeah,
have to say, what I love, like it chills when you said it. And I think this is the one thing, and I know I sound like a broken record, I'm so glad you said it, is you realize you have choice. And even right now, look at how many people are just following a narrative where they think they have no choice because they've convinced themselves they have no choice, but you have choice. And that choice, where many of us are choosing different, we're winning in a very different way that will come out later. And that's what it's about, right? And I don't mean winning like you're the loser, you're the winner. I don't mean it that way. But I mean, like, you're winning in your spiritual growth, in your health, in your, like you said, your finance, because you're making a choice. And I love that you can say, you step back and say, do I want to choose that? Whereas before you were obligation.
absolutely. What I also noticed is that, you know, same things, the same patterns kept coming up over and over. And I just got to a point where I was totally intolerant with it. But I didn't know what to do. And so again, being guided to you, you taught me a few things and shared and supported and loved and gave things and tools, and made me go back, like you said, step back and be aware. And now what has become really clear is when I hear other people's stories, those close to me, whining and complaining, and I can see clearly now, more clearly, that they're stuck.
Yeah.
And I was there and I feel for them, but I made a choice not to be stuck anymore. And I don't want to be stuck. I want to go further. I need to have a happier life, a more fulfilled life. There's so much more. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I say, you know what, I did say this. I said, you know, I'm in those elder years. And when you, I know it's a journey line and not the age line, but when I was thinking on the, when I was thinking on the age line, and you contemplate, wow, I'm on the downstroke of life, but I go, darn it, this person still has that thought of that 20 and 30-year-old. I want to have that vibrancy and the youth, and I still have that umph, and I want to have that umph to continue for the rest of the time that I'm here on the earth plane.
I love it. I love it. You've actually sparked a question that I heard to ask, but I want to ask all three of you. So Mike, I want to go to you here, and then I kind of want to, whoever wants to go after this, but one of the questions we'll get to that came through when you were talking, Anna Marie, was what you said. I was on the journey for a long time. Mm-hmm. So clearly there were things moving, but not moving. And then you catapulted, and I'd like to, so Mike, I want to go to you first, and then we're going to come back. I'd like you guys to sort of answer that. What was the difference when you changed? Because I see this a lot with people where they can be in a place for a long time, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a shift. There's something in there that just wakes up, that's fire. But what you may have noticed different from what you were doing before, to maybe how our community is very different. It's hard to explain to people because we're so interactive. We're not this kind of community where we're like, oh, okay, see you later. Like people always ask me, like, you're on that Telegram on a regular basis with us, or you're always like, why are you always working? I'm like, it's not work. It's a spirit, having fun and playing and making sure you guys are okay. And that, if there's something I can do to shift, then why wouldn't I be there to help? We're just very different, but it's hard to explain that, I guess, to people. So Mike, I think I want to go over to your space and see what did you find in this last year that was just, that you saw you were able to shift and get through? What came up for you since all this craziness is coming to an end in many ways, but yeah.
Goodness. Very much similar to what the girls have already stated. I am actually so grateful for COVID and the situations that it has presented to me. And the biggest thing has been, I didn't realize that you can only make a choice from two different aspects, love or fear. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. I just made decisions. Yeah. And COVID really put some fear into me in the early beginnings of it. Fear of my freedom being taken away, fear of loss of financial resources and that sort of thing. And so through your teachings, I started to realize that I'm starting to make decisions based on fear, which generally don't turn out so well.
Not for most people, but most people live that way.
So the big aha moment was when I got to a place where I could put fear in the back seat and just be in neutrality and make decisions from a place of love. That's when everything changed. Everything changed. My relationships changed. My communication has changed. My voice has changed. The way I feel about myself. There's just bringing that love aspect into your life, I think, is the holy grail. That's it for me.
But here's the difference. A lot of people, and I'd love your perspective on this. A lot of people talk about that. I hear it everywhere. Oh, just love, just love. Oh, if you spread more love, you're going to be fine. And I observe, and I'm like, that's not love. Like, they're just like, oh, just love. I don't think most people really know what that is. What was the difference for you that you found as we were going through this transition all together? Was the big difference of love versus fear? Because people throw it out there. They're constantly tossing it out there. And then they go, well, it's not working because, I'm just loving. I'm just loving. And they're like, they get jaded, or they're so used to hearing it, they're not applying it. I see that a lot, but I'd love your perspective on that.
Okay, so this is a big one. I don't even know if I can begin to even put a tenth of energy behind this question. For me, I still don't know exactly what love is, other than I know that it is a source of energy. And getting to that point where I could actually feel that energy, it's like I'm feeling love for the first time. And so to be able to be in that space and play with it and communicate with it, that's where all these shifts started to come from. So my experience had been kind of along the lines of the law of attraction and The Secret, which is just positive affirmations, right? Which a lot of people would say, well, that's coming from a love space. And as you have commented many times, and the law of attraction obviously did not work for me, love really is finding faith with your definition of trust, no belief. And as simple as that sounds, my God, is that ever difficult to get to that point? At least for me, it was. Like it's taken me 8 months to get there, but having faith in something, trust, no believe in love and in that energy, that space, it's transcended the way that I think, feel, act. It's everything now.
It is, and I love that you bring that up. And everyone in our community knows our big saying, right? Trust, no believe, and we teach a lot on it. But what people do forget, it's like back to the spirit body, right? That's where the trust, no believe sits. And that's what you're talking about with that love. You just feel it. And even though you can waver, and even though, like, we're humans, you're going to waver, right? Or you see something, you tie into the spirit body. And you guys hear me say that. People say, well, how do you know? I'm like, I just know we're coming out of this on the other side. You know, people thought I probably had 5 heads like a year ago, but I'm like, I just know, because when you tune into that beautiful God, divine, universal source energy, that is what you're saying. It's the love that flows. And don't you find that when you can tap more into that, and guys, it is always a work in progress. So never, like you say, oh, we're constantly learning and evolving together. But don't you find that it's that knowing that even though it might look weird out here, like we're even seeing in the world, we just know it's gonna come back, and you're not losing sleep, you're not fearful going, oh, well, what if, or what if? Like you're sort of, that comes back, yes, neutrality, but it's back. And so you're integrating more of the spirit body. People forget to integrate their spirit body. They're all in, and that's why none of us really knew what love was. We're like, we were all talking about the other day in our class, we're like, oh, well, sex is love. No, not love, but we think it's love because, oh, they had sex with us, so maybe that was love, right? Like nobody has proper definitions from the time. And then they're like, oh, just connect to God and there's love. Well, what does that look like? You're right, Mike. It's a huge question, but I wanted to toss it out. Like it's massive. I don't know, guys, do you have anything? Like Monica, Anna Marie, anybody want to jump in there? Your thought process, Monica?
So fear is obviously such a huge, big block to love. And for me, I have a double whammy, because in addition to the fear, there was also the shame and the judgment. And that was my hugest block to love, in addition to being historically fear-based.
Yeah.
So for me, because earlier Anna Maria was talking about the catapult. And so for me, the shame was pervasive and lifelong. And of course, I made these steps and I was always going in the right direction, but I just couldn't make that breakthrough where you go from surviving to thriving. And I knew that I was close. And the catapult really happens with the level of support that we get in this group and in the greater community as well. And what dissolved, so it's not just learning to love over fear, but learning to love over the judgment piece. And I can see the changes that are happening so fast, because I had the opportunity to come and speak with Tracy just a month ago. And it was funny because listening to the stories there, it activated that judgment piece and it brought it forward, so then we can clear it. And it just happened so fast. And now it's just a month later and it's a completely different story, with those pieces of judgment chunking off and falling away and dissolving, and that which no longer serves. And it's just moving so fast. And that's the exciting part. And so, like, by shedding that part, that's also for me, my personal story, moving into that love, like moving into that space where I can love me, and then I can love out there.
And you made, like, I would love to hear your perception, because you had gone through so much trauma and so much unfolding. And in the last year, like when you made a conscious choice that you were going to love yourself and make these shifts, what would you say, and this is what I'm curious, what would you say was the biggest, how it says, like, aha moment that changed for you from what you were doing before to then when you found yourself just with people that could support you, versus like when you shifted into a community where there was just people there, like, hey, if you need something, I need something. It's not, we have no rules in our community other than to be kind and love. That's it. You be who you are, but you know, we just want to help you if you're falling down. That's it. That is our rule. Just love people, just be kind. But when you looked at all the work and things you were doing differently, what did you find was the biggest, I guess, shift coming into more of a community-based place?
So everybody here is beautiful. Everybody here is supportive. Everybody here is the best cheerleader, and I really need that. And the thing is that people would lovingly, very kindly point out how much I was beating up on myself. I didn't even see it. I didn't know what they were talking about. And then the veil gets lifted, and then I could kind of see it, but I couldn't stop it. And so the step process, the aha moment was when I got it, when I saw it, when it became unveiled to me. Oh my goodness, look at the things that I'm thinking about myself, that I'm saying about myself, because I couldn't even hear it before. And everybody was reflecting back to me the love from the community, and I wasn't seeing it. And the aha moment was when it sunk in, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's through the separation of myself that I'm keeping myself separate from this group. And I really want this thing that they're reflecting back to me, which is love. And the aha moment was letting it in, because I recognized the separation, that I was separated from myself.
I love what you said there with separation. And then, because this happens too, people get into communities and then, you know, they're like, I want that, but like you said, they hold right back, versus, hey, we don't got any judgment here. We've all been in the toilet and had to get ourselves out. So, you know, just come and we'll keep helping you and, you know, do the best we can. I like you said that, because we are taught in our world for separation. We're taught to separate. And it's through that separation that, oh, my whole desk is vibrating here, guys. I'm not sure what's going on. It's through that separation that we start to find that we lack our direction and we lack our confidence, because we do get into this space that we have to do it ourselves. And I also love that you said, and I used to be like this too, we don't even hear that we get up in the morning, oh, it's a crappy morning, oh, it's a bad day, oh, everybody's just grumpy. And so when you have somebody that can come back and say, we've heard that, but let's look at it a different way, and you hear it one time doesn't do it. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone where one time does it. It's like, you need to hear it over and over again. It's very good. Anna Marie, would you agree with that? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. Just receiving the different perspective. And I didn't see that other perspective. Everything kind of came very clear, or clearer. A lot of the things that I did in the past, you know, were on my own. Everything was on my own. And I didn't really have the community feel, the help, the support, you know, shared with my friends, but they didn't get it, you know.
Yeah,
so
they look at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are they talking? And a couple of them, you know, I really connected with, and, you know, we would do certain things, but it was the same thing. And I just felt that it didn't, it wasn't benefiting me or getting me to where I wanted. But again, this community provides different perspectives. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I never thought of it that way. You know, that looking at a different viewpoint. But, you know, everybody also, besides that, they're so open and so raw. And the rawness is the key to being able to share, because once one person says something, you're thinking, oh my God, it's okay for me to divulge and speak and share and get me out of this. And that's exactly, that's
Like you said
exactly what
that.
this community does.
Well, and I think we need to like push ourselves, right? Like we had one call a couple of weeks ago where I think half the call was I was so high in the spirit. I don't do drugs or anything, never have, but I get high in the spirit. Like I get so spirit flows through. I talk fast, I channel, like it just comes through. And remember, we had that a couple of weeks ago where half of our groups like, yeah, and the house like, I'm so triggered. I'm just gonna punch her in the face. And the cool thing is that we go on the Telegram, right? And everybody, it's just sharing. I'm not getting offended because I know what's happening. I'm like, awesome. But then you start to look at the release and the feed by just saying this triggered me because of this and this, rather than I triggered me, I'm going to run away. It's like this trigger, because what happens sometimes too, right? When spirit comes in like that, oh, you can trigger a lot of people because it becomes too much of a vibration of, you know, that love, that energy, and all your guides show up and all your, you know, your helpers. So before we know it, like we have 4 people here, but we've really got about 104 people. So, you know, it's that space where we can be, like you said, vulnerable and say, look, and then look at how many people said, I felt that, and I felt that, or I need to shift that. Or, oh my gosh, you brought that up for me. And I think that's right now, as we're going through this transition, that to me is probably one of the most important spaces to have, a space to say, I don't know why I feel this way, but I do. And I just don't want to feel it. Because when we hold it, that's what we all used to do. All of us, right? We'd hold it inside and then think, okay, I can't say anything, or I'm going to get judged, or I'm going to get slapped, or whatever. Right. And that's a freeing moment. I think it's freeing. Just say that.
Yeah. Absolutely freeing. Yeah.
I trigger people, and that's okay.
Yes, you certainly do. And we love it.
In a loving way, but you know, we just
absolutely
want to bring the mud up. We don't want it sitting on you. I want it out so you can go and thrive.
And that is the reason why I know the rest of the members as well, love it so much, is because it's progressing. You're progressing, you're growing. And without having to go through those triggers and releases and unblockages, how do you move forward? You have to go through that. And I know it's so easy. I know I wanted it to be easy. For me, I always want it to be easy. Oh gosh, I don't want to do that. Oh gosh, that's too hard. But my goodness, the benefits, the gifts that are received when you go through that process is incredible. Oh.
Well, you know what? And it gets easier. Like Mike, you and I had this conversation. Like you said to me, wow, you still have stuff that goes on in your life. Because I went through, 5 years of doing the work before it even seemed like there was a break or a joy. And then you said to me, oh, you still have this. You just go through it like quicker and easier. And like, that must've been how did that feel? Because you had that realization moment that even though we feel amazing and things great, and I know when I come on, like, but I have a day, like, hey, look at the last 2 weeks. I had a kid that had to be in quarantine jail for 2 weeks, which made no sense if you saw the process in Canada. It's completely draconian. I had a flood in my basement. Then all the piping after the flood finished, then all the piping in the kitchen started backing up and flying out of the kitchen. And then they had to come and clean that up. And then the pipes of the toilet, they all backed up. And I'm like, okay, I had to call in some support, but you have it. And then you just realize that I was like, oh, that's really cleaned out a lot of old stuff, not only for our community, but things, and then getting ready to shift into a different part of my life. So you're like, that was a real aha moment, wasn't it, for you,
Yes,
Mike?
it was. Absolutely. And I think my message back to you was, I am in so much gratitude for you having to go through those experiences so that I can learn and I don't have to have those experiences. You know what I mean? Like, no one wishes ill will on somebody, but if somebody's going through a traumatic experience and I can learn from that without having to go through it, well, that's a win for me, right? and so what you were going through related so closely to what I was going through as well. And I thought, okay, here's someone I look up to. Here's someone that I strive to be like, and they have the same struggles daily challenges. Let's put it that way. They have the same daily challenges that we all do, and to see that you deal with them in the way that you teach. You didn't need to. It's like you said. It's okay to get upset. It's okay to get frustrated, but that's just like a blip in your day. And then you're right back into, okay, so this is just a God experience, and I can find the joy in this. And by finding the joy in this, it's going to make it easier to transition out of it.
Yeah, it's funny. The guy that was fixing my water tank, he's like, "Why are you so happy? Like you had a flood." And I'm like, "Well," I said, "we caught it. Like literally we caught it right at the perfect time." Because I said, had that experience not happened in the morning, I wouldn't have been down there for later. Then I would have had like 5 feet in the basement rather than just, half of it kind of coordinated to the side. He's like, "That's an interesting way to look at it." He's like, "So that makes you happy?" I said, "Well, I could have had something different, right?" And even when we look at the world right now, it's like, well, yeah, we've had to push through some mud, but we're not going to all have to have things to carry in our wallets and our phones to get on an airplane or do whatever. Like you can see. So we've had to push through some fears, but we knew it would eventually over time, it'll die out. So we still got a little time to go, but yeah, it's sort of what, like you said, and we teach all this, what's the God experience of this? What's the God moment of this instead of a good moment or a good experience? So we can take every crappy situation and find what the God moment is of it.
Right back to perspective,
Yeah. It's a
right? And
perspective's a
so,
big one.
yeah, if you don't have the right perspective, maybe someone in this group has a different perspective that gives you some
Different.
alignment to something that centers and balances and works for you better than the way that you were handling it yourself.
I want to, I know, because it's already, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, man, we're going to run out of time. We're going to do something even more fun for you guys. I'll probably put it on YouTube too, because I know we have so much to share. What I'd like to know from you guys, and please, you're just, you always come from your hearts. What was something when you came into the Evolutionary Academy Mastermind? So we call it Academy, but a mastermind because we touch on every area of life. It's very different from what's out there. But what was something that you are so grateful you experienced that you did not experience, or that you didn't expect to happen when you came in the community? You had no idea that you went, wow, I didn't know that was going to change my life, or that was going to happen, or because a lot of times when we go into things, and I've been in a lot of masterminds, and a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of here. So we hear this all the time. Like you just don't know. So Mike, do you want to start?
Sure. For me, I had no idea that this was going to take me on a journey to find connection to God. I had no idea that we would go that route.
Because you
I don't know
came to
what I
change
was
your
expecting.
finances.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, finances and health, if you've got good health and you've got some wealth to be able to, put food on the table and those sorts of things, then really, your foundation is set and away you go. And boy, was I wrong. Uh, so for me, yeah, finding that connection, which I'm still working on very hard, but finding that connection with God and that connection to myself. I think the two go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Like the two of them are, um, they're it for me now. Like that is my aha moment of what I found by joining the group. And without that, I don't think I would have experienced all the joy that I've experienced in the last 8 months.
Yeah, because your foundation, we talk so much about foundations in all of our quadrants of life, right? You're right. People think, well, your health is number one for sure. And then if you have some wealth, you can move around. But then you realize if you want to stay out of fear, you need to have a connection to the God of your understanding. I just say it's whatever it is for you guys. Like there, and I think people, hopefully they know that by now. If you're listening, it's what it is for you. We're not a place where we tell you, no, you have to find that out for you, but we help to guide you. And I love that you said that because it is true. If you don't have the trust, no believe in something bigger than yourself, how do you get through the last year? I don't know. I probably, if I didn't have my tools, I probably would have like had, well, some people say 4 near deaths. I say 3, depending on how you look at the kidnapping one. But, I if I was still that person, I guaranteed I would have jumped out of a bridge, off a bridge somewhere. Like, no, I guarantee if I was that person, I'm sure you guys could relate. If you're back there, I would have got through this last year. I would have been like Monica's saying, I'd be like, oh my God, oh fear, oh my God, oh worry, oh everything. Like that was me, you know, it's like, so the foundation is so key. I'm so happy you said that, because that's how you get into your spirit body. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
It's huge.
the worry and stress that comes from not having faith.
Yeah.
You can just get, and I've used this expression with my kids. It's like every day, if there's a little bit more anxiety or a little bit more stress or a little bit more worry because you haven't dealt with something, and you can see the ramification just keeps building. It's like, okay, so now, you know, I've got the weight of my living room sofa on my back, and tomorrow I have the weight of my fridge on my back, and you can just feel every day it just becomes insurmountable, where I'm not going to get out of bed today because I can't lift all this weight. Right? And when you have faith and you trust, no believe in whatever it is that you're trusting in, that worry, that stress, that anxiety, the weight that you're carrying literally just flies away.
It does. I've actually felt that physical weight. Like when I was real in my journey, I tell a story about when my ex-husband left the house. I was in the foyer, and I didn't know what it was because I hadn't been on this road yet. I just knew that was the part I had to leave. And it was like somebody, like you said, when you said, I got chills, like took the sofa and lifted it off my shoulders. And I must have stood in my foyer for like half an hour, guys. I didn't move. I'm like, what was that? That was the freakiest feeling. I realized it was, like you were saying, it was that hand of God. It was my angels. It was my guides. It was the Christ consciousness coming in and lifting that energy that says, you don't have to carry this burden anymore. It took me quite a while to still figure that out. But when I look back now, I realized what was going on. I love that. Monica, what would you say? What was the biggest unexpected thing when you went from the Miraculous Academy into the Evolutionary Academy? What was the surprise that you didn't expect making that transition that you got?
So the academies are very different, and the level of interaction is so great in this evolutionary group, and we are connected literally every day. Every day there's connection. We meet each other every week on the call, and that level of connection. Okay, so I've got two things. So the one thing that I was so unexpected was, like, Mike already shared that Tracy triggers Mike. Well, what I didn't know was that when we were going to get really, really raw and really vulnerable, that we were actually going to trigger each other. And I had no idea that that was going to happen. And it's a deep trigger. Here's the great part, though. I had no idea that I was going to be so grateful for those deep triggers, because now when it happens, it's not, oh no, this is terrible, because it doesn't feel good. It's not rainbows and unicorns.
No.
The opposite. But I'm so grateful because it's rising to the surface so that it can finally be cleared, right? And we don't have to carry that sofa anymore. And I had no idea how grateful I was going to be for the triggers because of the clearings afterwards. And that when you clear something in one quadrant, like Mike was saying, health and wealth, all of a sudden you move to another quadrant, like interacting with a 3D neighbor, and all of a sudden that becomes ease and grace and total neutrality. And you weren't even necessarily working on that quadrant. You were over here working on this quadrant. And the surprise, the unexpected part, is that it not dissolves, but it goes into every area, and it's just with ease and grace, without even trying. The benefits ripple. That's the word I'm looking for. They ripple through to other areas, and so you just end up benefiting in so many different ways that you weren't even expecting, and you weren't necessarily trying. It's a lot of work, but it's not a lot of work all the time. Like, it's work and then ease and grace, and then work and then ease and grace.
Well, and we're constantly shifting together. I can't wait till tonight. I'll share with you guys what happened after our call last week, but I keep shifting, right? So things come. So I'll share a pattern tonight on our call with what came up. But again, like you said, we're constantly moving and shifting together. So we are always, I don't like calling it work. I like to call it spirit play or something different, because it can be a heavier trigger, but you can look at it and right away you get through it quicker because you're like, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Yeah, so the unexpected was everyone told me it was going to be fast, but until you see how fast it is, you can't believe how fast the word catapulting is a really good one. I didn't expect that so many things simultaneously would change so fast and all for the better. And you're right, work isn't the best word, but it's that you have to really dig, right? Like you dig, but then the benefits just are amazing.
The weed comes out and the beautiful rose is replaced. And then again, then life gets more harmonious. And then I like it too, because you look back and you're like, wow, I had those people in my life. I like to sometimes scan and I'm like, remember I had those people in my life. Wow. No, that was a downer. Whoa, glad I've got through that. Or I'm glad I broke that off. I always find it's fun. You can go back in your own timeline and then see how much, new is coming in a glorious space versus heavy. And you do get, I know every week I give assignments if you want to do them or not, right? But I don't pressure you. I don't say you'll have to, but things to look at, right? Things to say, hey, wait a minute. But I like that you said fast. Anna Marie, what would you say would be the biggest unexpected that you didn't expect?
Well, I came into the Evolutionary to learn a little bit more about financing because it wasn't an area that I was very good at. I did have the God connection, so I didn't think that I thought I was okay with that. But the biggest thing that came out of this particular platform for me was speaking, just speaking. And I think my whole life, I thought I was, I would talk. People used to tell me, oh my God, you can carry on a conversation and talk for hours. Oh my gosh. And my husband would constantly say that. Oh my God, you encounter someone here and there. Do you know somebody everywhere in the world? So it was a big joke because I could talk. What I realized, it was just talk, but it wasn't. And when I came on the Evolutionary, you all know I could not speak. And it was because I had to get real with myself. And I had to get deeper than I thought I needed to get before. So it was difficult to use words or have words come to me or really think about it and really question. And so I became very quiet. I didn't want to deal with it. And this group taught me to talk a little more. And having to come on to this show, I was almost going to back out because I was so
tried.
nervous.
I said, no, we're breaking the pattern. You see, I pushed. I said, she's not backing out. We're breaking the pattern. She tried. No.
I did try. And here I go again, trying to get out of what I think I need to do. And I thank you for that, because if it wasn't for the Evolutionary and the opportunities that come to bring out the things that one needs to work on, and not to say that Miraculous isn't like that, it's just more concentrated and more focused and more in your face in the Evolutionary. It gives you more of a chance to really dig, like Monica said. You really need to go deep.
And I find with our Telegram group, because sometimes you wake up, and I know, Mike, you're in France, so sometimes you wake up and you must get like 200 messages there, like, what's everyone talking about? I got to know what's happening.
I can't keep up. I have my little routine in the morning. I go down, the first thing I do is go to that Telegram, and I'm going, whoa, guys, I need to catch up. Wow. But then, you read through all of it and it's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. That's so amazing. Oh my God, that's great. Okay. Like, it's just constant communication every single day, constant sharing every single day. But it's such a lift. Every single member is so wonderful and so giving and so sharing and so loving. That's all I can say. What a loving group.
I love about that chat is you get, maybe I'm going through this, but then you always see the win. So it's not a place where you always feel more elevated and excited. And we never had the Telegram group before the Evolutionary, and I'm so grateful. Spirit's like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And we could get off the other platforms and just be so real and just be who we are and not worry about who's monitoring or tracking or whatever. And And I love it. You guys are all just so amazing. We literally have about 2.5 minutes. Does anyone have anything they want to say
The
before?
Telegram group is the most loving place on the internet. I know Anna Maria just said it, but I have to emphasize it. It is the most loving place on the internet. It is everything that you want the internet to be, because like you said, if people bring up the triggers, we're shifting them, and everyone love. It is a love fest. It's my favorite place. Like,
and we have the open one, like the TLC ministry one, which is non-denominational. So that one you can find on the Facebook and on the website, on the free membership. And then we have the one for Evolutionary. Okay, we got 5 minutes here, I think, probably, or something like that. But I'm glad you said that. I really like it. I just like the connection, and it kind of picks you up. Like if you were having a day, maybe you woke up and you needed to pick me up, that would jump and make you better, for sure, make you feel better. Mike, do you have any final thought?
Well, just to add on that about the group, once again, it's miraculous how you operate, but everybody in the group is here for the right reasons. Yeah. And therefore, you know that this is a very safe space because everybody is authentic. Mm-hmm. There's no wrong players here. Yeah. So you can get as much out of it as you put in because everybody there is there to support you. Like that's the big thing for me with this group is, I mean, you can go anywhere and just know that, oh, there's a bad seed or there's a bad apple or this environment just doesn't feel completely safe, or you're not in a position to be 100% vulnerable. But this space is like nothing I've ever witnessed, experienced, or been a part of. It's incredible.
You know, it means a lot when I hear that, because when I went through my journey, you guys know I went through it alone. I had my one mentor, and it was, I call it hell on earth, really. Like, who would come to Earth School? Like, why? Because no one, and you guys can, like, no one understands you. They think you're talking Greek or something. And I shouldn't say I have a Greek boyfriend, but he talks Greek. But anyway, so I was like, they think you're talking something different. And it was really lonely. Like, a lot of times I wanted to give up, and I vowed, I said, I didn't know I'd be doing this years later, but I said, when I started doing this and I left corporate, I said, I want to create a place where people don't feel alone going through their journey, no matter what it is, because it's just a journey. No matter how bad they think the story is or how good they think it is, it's just part of our journey. And we can be there to help and not make it feel so isolating. So I'm so grateful you said that, because that's what I wanted. Any other final thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, Mike and Monica have said about the Telegram, but I have been caught several times being nervous, not understanding about things that we have discussed. And it is so easy to call upon anyone for help, and they are there for you. You're supported. They'll explain things a little easier if I haven't caught it. I mean, the outpour of love and support that comes from here is just incredible, and I know we've been repeating that, but it is true. I don't know how any other way to say it. It's just so incredible.
Because it's helping. So if
all the time,
when we were doing crypto things and you were like, I was so lost, and you were so frustrated in class, I said, don't worry, we'll get to you, don't worry. So we always have people that are like maybe a little bit further, and then they'll jump on. And I love that. I know, Monica, you had that experience too, where you needed some help. Some people in the group came and helped you. And I think that that's what it is. It's a community. Like, people throw that word community out there, like, I don't know, like their socks and underwear, they change every day. No, it's when even when I moved to Toronto, I'm like, nobody talks to everyone. Like, I literally still have a hard time here, because I'm like, no one talks to their neighbors. Nobody's talking. Whereas I came from a place where it's like, I can help you cut your grass. Yeah, you're going away. I'm going to make sure you're okay. Yeah, drop your kids off. I'll have, like, the whole block, like my community block, and the people were helping. So this is community to me. It's not just, can I jump on and help you, but how can we all keep helping each other? And you all experience that. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I can't thank you all enough for coming and sharing. Our hour went so quick. I'm so proud of watching all of you just grow and shift and really step into these beautiful, the soul beings that you were called to be. And I can see, and I know so much more of that essence is coming through. And I think this is the place and the time, well, I know it is more than ever before, that we're meant to jump into our soul, our spirit, our bodies. And it's not about what you do for a living. It's about your community. It's about the people that are there to help you. Those are the memories you're going to take with you. That's why when you get caught up in what was my past life and some of the crappy memories come up, you're taking memories. You're not taking anything else with you. So this is the time to really say enough's enough, get out of fear, get into that love, and it's time to exude it more than ever before. So thank you to each and every one of you for coming today, for being amazing. I love you all. And I know I will see you tonight. And for everybody listening, at least jump onto our Telegram group, or you can check us out at tracylclark.com, or read my book. I got it in front of me here. God, Where Are You? It's Me. We have a 31 days of prayer book that actually is going to formatting, which means we are getting close, maybe just a little bit before summer. We'll see, but it'll come when God says it's perfect. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. I just am so grateful to have you all here. And for all of our listeners, we will see you here, same time, same place next week for a new adventure and a call-in show. So have an incredible week, everyone. Thank you again, guys. Thank you for listening to the Tracy L Clark Show with me, Tracy L, where I teach you how to connect to the God consciousness so you can unlock your superpowers and connect at light speed and live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where together we will unlock the secrets of your body and your life. As the founder of the Body Regeneration Academy, I, Tracy L, will provide you with the insight and simple tools you can apply right now in your life to move you forward and leave the past in the dust. To join the Body Regeneration TLC Online Academy, make sure you check me out at tracylclark.com.